For 70 years, submarines owned the ocean. Silent, invisible, untouchable. A nuclear attack sub could lurk beneath a carrier strike group for weeks and you'd never know it was there. The ocean was a black box, 280 million cubic miles of water, where a 400-foot steel cylinder could simply disappear. The United States, and now China, wired the ocean floor. They dropped thousands of sensors. They deployed AI-driven hunter networks. They turned passive listening into active tracking. And now, the ocean isn't hiding submarines anymore. It's betraying them. This is the sensor web that could decide the next naval war before the first shot is fired. And most people have no idea it exists. Let's start with why submarines were so terrifying in the first place. The ocean is a sound labyrinth. Temperature layers called thermoclines bend sound waves unpredictably. Currents create noise. Biologics, whales, shrimp, thermal vents fill the spectrum with false contacts. The seafloor scatters sonar, returns into meaningless clutter. A smart submarine captain could dive beneath a thermocline and become acoustically invisible to surface ships. The sonar waves literally bend around the sub, creating a shadow zone. And the ocean is enormous. The Pacific alone covers 63 million square miles. Trying to find a single submarine without knowing where to look? It's like searching for one specific car in all of North America, while blindfolded, in the dark. During the Cold War, Soviet ballistic missile submarines could patrol for months, and the US Navy might never detect them. Diesel subs could sit on the bottom, completely silent, for weeks. The ocean was a submarine sanctuary, the ultimate stealth domain. But even during the Cold War, the United States was building something that would eventually change everything. A system so classified, so sprawling that most people still don't know it exists. It was called SOSUS, and it was just the beginning. SOSUS, Sound Surveillance System. Starting in the 1950s, the US Navy began laying thousands of hydrophones, underwater microphones on the ocean floor in massive arrays connected by undersea cables. They focused on choke points, the Guyuk Gap, Greenland, Iceland, UK. The corridor Soviet subs had to transit to reach the Atlantic, the Pacific approaches near Japan, the Philippines, and Hawaii. Key straits and channels where submarines couldn't avoid detection. Each hydrophone listens passively for propeller cavitation, the tiny bubbles that form on spinning blades, machinery hum, pumps, reduction gears, reactor coolant systems, flow noise, water moving over the hull at speed. These arrays operate in the low frequency band, 100 to 500 Hz, where sound travels thousands of miles through ocean basins with minimal attenuation. A submarine transiting the Norwegian Sea could be heard by arrays near Iceland, hundreds of miles away. The data feeds to shore stations where analysts triangulate contacts. 3 or more arrays detecting the same signature, you can pinpoint location, speed, and heading. Today, SOSUS has evolved into IUSS, the Integrated Undersea Surveillance System, and it's gotten exponentially smarter. Modern IUSS uses artificial intelligence to process terabytes of acoustic data daily. Machine learning algorithms filter out biologics, shipping noise, and environmental clutter. Pattern recognition identifies specific submarine classes by their unique acoustic signatures. Every sub has a fingerprint. Anomaly detection flags new threats, unfamiliar propeller designs, unexpected quieting technology. The Russians thought they'd built a silent submarine. IUSS AI compares it against decades of acoustic libraries, identifies inconsistencies, and generates a tracking solution. But IUSS is just the foundation. The US Navy built additional layers on top of it. And that's where things get truly dystopian for submarines. Meet the ships that submarines fear most. SIRTAS vessels. SIRTAS stands for Surveillance Towed Array Sensor System. These are civilian crewed naval ships that operate globally, dragging massive sensor arrays behind them. How massive? These towed arrays stretch over 6,000 feet, more than a mile of sensors behind the ship. But here's what makes them lethal. They don't just listen passively. They use low-frequency active sonar, LFA. SIRTAS ships transmit powerful low-frequency acoustic pulses, basically underwater searchlights. They travel over 1,000 nautical miles through the ocean. When those pulses bounce off a submarine, the return signal reveals exact range, depth, speed, and heading. No triangulation, no guesswork, direct detection. Ships like the USNS Impeccable and USNS Effective operate in the South China Sea, Western Pacific, and other contested waters, often inside areas China considers its backyard. And China knows exactly what they're doing, mapping every acoustic signature in the region, building databases, identifying patrol patterns. But the newest evolution? Mobile autonomous sensor networks. In 2024, Anduril Industries introduced Seabed Sentry, an AI-driven undersea sensory system that changes everything. Here's how it works. Autonomous underwater vehicles, UUVs, deploy network sensor buoys across strategic choke points. These buoys sit on the seafloor, listening passively, powered by long-life batteries or seafloor charging stations. They communicate with each other, creating a self-healing mesh network. AI on board each node processes acoustic data locally, only transmitting when threats are detected. You can seed those networks in the Luzon Strait, the only deepwater passage between the South China Sea and Pacific. Malacca Strait, choke point for Chinese energy imports. Approaches to Guam, Hawaii, or Pearl Harbor. Unlike fixed SOSUS arrays, these mobile sensors can be deployed rapidly, repositioned based on threats, and operate in denied areas where you can't lay permanent cables. And all of this, IUSS, CERTAS, autonomous sensors, feeds into a single integrated picture. Space-based satellites detect thermal wakes. P-8 Poseidon aircraft drop sonobuoys. Surface ships contribute radar and ESM data. Submarines share their sonar contacts. Every sensor feeding one network. So what does this actually mean in a real battle? Let's game this out. It's 2027. China decides to invade Taiwan. Step 1 of the plan: deploy the undersea screen. Type 093 and Type 095 attack submarines position themselves in concentric rings around the invasion fleet, some protecting the amphibious groups, others hunting American carrier strike groups, still others preparing to launch anti-ship cruise missiles. Meanwhile, Type 096 ballistic missile submarines slip into the Pacific, providing nuclear deterrence and threatening U.S. homeland with JL-3 missiles. This is China's A2AD strategy: anti-access, area denial. Use submarines to create an underwater fortress that keeps the U.S. Navy at bay long enough to secure Taiwan. But the moment those submarines leave port, the web sees them. Day 0. Launch detection. IUSS arrays in the Philippine Sea and Luzon Strait detect anomalously low-frequency signatures. All flag them as Type 093 class based on acoustic fingerprints. Shore stations begin tracking. Day 1. Localization. CERTAS ships repositioned days earlier begin active LFA pings. The submarines trying to remain covert are illuminated like flashlights in a dark room. Seabed sentry nodes in the Luzon Strait triangulate exact positions, narrowing search areas from thousands of square miles to boxes measuring 50 by 50 nautical miles. Space-based infrared sensors detect thermal anomalies, submarine wakes, and surface water. Day 2. Prosecution. U.S. Virginia-class attack submarines, pre-positioned and cued by the sensor web, move into firing positions. P-8 Poseidon aircraft drop patterns of sonobuoys, creating dense acoustic fences. Mark 48 torpedoes are in the water. The Chinese undersea screen, the entire foundation of their invasion plan, is shredded before the amphibious fleet even leaves the Taiwan Strait. Pre-sensor web. One U.S. submarine searches 100,000 square nautical miles. Weeks to locate enemy subs. Chinese invasion fleet operates with effective submarine cover. Post-sensor web. Search area reduced to 1,000 square miles or less. Hours to localize and prosecute. Chinese submarines operating under unilateral transparency. And once the submarine screen is gone, Chinese destroyers, amphibious ships, and logistics vessels become sitting ducks for U.S. submarines, long-range anti-ship missiles, and carrier air wings. The battle for Taiwan could be decided underwater in the first 48 hours before most people even know the war has started. But China isn't sitting still. China knows exactly how vulnerable they are, and they're building their own web. They call it Transparent Ocean, a mirror of U.S. IUSS design to turn the Western Pacific into a Chinese-controlled acoustic domain. Here's what China is deploying. 1. seabed sensor hubs, fixed hydrophone arrays along the first island chain from Japan through Taiwan to the Philippines, designed to detect U.S. submarines transiting into the South China Sea. 2. Extra-large unmanned underwater vehicles, XL UUVs, autonomous subs, similar to the U.S. Navy's Orca, that can deploy and retrieve sensor networks, patrol for months without resupply, hunt and destroy enemy UUVs, relay data via underwater acoustic modems or surfacing communication buoys. 3. Dual-use assets. China's massive fishing fleet, thousands of vessels, can deploy sensors, conduct acoustic surveys, and even jam or spoof enemy arrays under the guise of civilian operations. Chinese military analysts openly admit their goal: achieve local sensor superiority in the South China Sea and nearshore areas, making it impossible for U.S. submarines to operate covertly near Chinese coast. But there's a problem with fixed networks. They're vulnerable. The U.S. response to China's transparent ocean? Counter 1. Sensor hunting. Deploy UUVs specifically designed to locate and destroy Chinese seabed arrays, cut the cables, disable the nodes, poison the network with false data. Counter 2. Mobile mesh networks. Anduril's seabed sentry and similar systems create self-healing networks that automatically reroute when nodes are destroyed. You can't kill what constantly reconfigures. Counter 3. Quantum sensors. Next-generation magnetometers that detect submarines through magnetic anomalies. No acoustic signature required. These bypass traditionally quieting technology entirely. This is the new underwater arms race. China builds fixed arrays. U.S. deploys mobile counters. China fields Hunter UUVs. U.S. seeds distributed swarms. China develops AI-driven anti-UUV networks. U.S. advances quantum sensing. And just like in cyberspace, the advantage goes to whoever controls the network. Here's the uncomfortable strategic reality. Modern naval warfare isn't won by the biggest fleet. It's won by whoever sees first. Submarines used to be the ultimate strategic asset, invisible strike platforms that could threaten enemies without being threatened themselves. The sensor web inverts that equation. Why submarines are losing stealth? 1. Acoustic fingerprinting. Every submarine has a unique signature: propeller blade count, reduction gear harmonics, reactor coolant pump frequency. AI databases match noise to specific holes, tracking individual boats across deployments. 2. Multi-phenomenology detection. Passive acoustic plus active sonar plus magnetic anomaly detection plus thermal wake imaging plus synthetic aperture radar equals sensor fusion that eliminates false negatives. No single sensor is perfect, but 5 sensors together, they're nearly impossible to fool. 3. AI denial. Machine learning filters biologics, whales, dolphins, oceanographic noise, currents, thermal layers, and commercial shipping 100 times faster than human analysts. The ocean clutter that used to hide submarines, now it's removed in real time. The force multiplication is staggering. Without the sensor web, carrier groups operate with uncertain threat pictures. Submarines can approach within torpedo range undetected. Anti-submarine warfare consumes massive resources for uncertain results. With the sensor web, threat submarines are tracked from port departure. Defensive perimeters extend hundreds of miles. Offensive operations begin with known enemy positions. Every future naval battle, Taiwan, South China Sea, Arctic, Mediterranean, will start with a question: who owns the sensor web? Because if your submarine can't hide, then your carriers are vulnerable to torpedo attack. Your amphibious fleets can't approach undetected. Your supply lines are transparent to enemy submarines. Your ballistic missile subs can't maintain second strike deterrence. The ocean isn't dark anymore. It's wired, it's networked, it's transparent to whoever controls the sensors. And that changes everything. For centuries, the ocean was humanity's last frontier of invisibility, a place where massive steel vessels could simply vanish. Then we wired it. We dropped hydrophones by the thousands. We deployed AI-driven analysis. We built autonomous hunter networks that never sleep, never blink, never stop listening. Submarines haven't become obsolete, but the rules have changed. The advantage no longer goes to the quietest boat. It goes to whoever controls the network. The United States built this web first. China is racing to match it. Russia is trying to disrupt it. Because they all understand the same truth. In the next naval war, the ocean won't hide anyone. It will reveal everyone. The transparent ocean is here, and the nation that reads it best wins before the shooting starts. If this deep dive into undersea sensor warfare opened your eyes to a domain most people don't even know exists, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm to share this with more people. Question for you: do you think autonomous undersea sensor networks make the ocean safer or push us closer to conflict? Drop your take in the comments. I want to hear your perspective. Subscribe for more breakdowns of the technologies and strategies shaping modern warfare, the systems operating in silence that could decide everything. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp.